ancient world wonders that no longer exist today. Today in this project we will try to present the wonders of the ancient world that no longer exist on the surface of the world. In the past, the world was not much like the world we live in today. There was no electricity nor machines to do the work for us. Cities were much smaller than the massive cities of today. The main occupations of the people were gathering food for themselves and their family, so most of them were farmers. Of course, there were those who would make more food than necessary, so they started trading with other citizens. Also, not everyone was free like today. There were those who had their decisions made by their landlords. They were the slaves who would work for a slice of stale bread so they could survive. These people were used for the hardest jobs such as building, working on the fields, or doing the chores of the landlord. But now that we've mentioned building, we can say that even though in the past there were no sophisticated machines to help people build massive structures, they would create very complex architectural wonders. Some of those wonders still stand tall today, but some of them have fallen to the ground and became dust. Statue of Zeus in Olympia. The statue of Zeus was a statue of the supreme god in Greek mythology, the god of lightning. It was situated in the temple of Zeus in the same town from where the Olympic Games originated, Olympia. The statue was about 13 meters high and was so tall it almost touched the top of the temple. It resembles Zeus sitting on a wooden throne made of ebony and cedar wood, decorated with ivory, elephant tusks, precious stones and gold. The throne's armrests were carved sphinx, mythical creatures with the head of a woman, body of a lion, and wings of a bird. It was believed to be made by the ancient Greek sculptor Phidias, around 435 BC. According to the legend, Phidias asked Zeus for permission after finishing the sculpture, and the day it was put in the temple was struck by lightning. The statue graced the temple at Olympia for more than 8 centuries before Christian priests persuaded the Roman emperor to close the temple in the 4th century AD. At the time the statue was moved in a temple in Constantinople, where it was believed to have been destroyed in a fire in 462 AD. Colossus of Rhodes. The Colossus of Rhodes was an enormous bronze sculpture of the sun god Helios, but built by the Rhodians in the beginning of the 3rd century BC. The city was the target of a Macedonian siege early in the 4th century BC. According to legend, the Rhodians sold the tools and equipment left behind by the Macedonians to pay for the Colossus. It was designed by the sculptor Cheras. The statue was about 30 meters tall, the tallest of the ancient world. It was completed around 280 BC. And stood for 60 years until it was toppled in an earthquake. It was never rebuilt. Hundreds of years later, Arabs invaded Rhodes and sold the remains of the statue as scrap metal. Because of this, archaeologists do not know much about the exact location of the statue or what it looked like. Most believe that it depicted the sun god standing while he lifted a torch with one hand and held a spear in the other. It was once believed that the statue stood with one leg on each side of the harbor, but most scholars now agree that the statue's legs were most likely built together to support its immense weight. The Alexandria Lighthouse. The lighthouse of Alexandria was located on a small island called Pharos, near the city of Alexandria, designed by the Greek architect Sostratus and completed around 270 BC. During the reign of Ptolemy II. The lighthouse helped to guide Nile River ships in and out of the city's busy harbor. Archaeologists have found ancient coins on which the lighthouse was depicted and from them concluded that the structure had 3 tiers, a square level at the bottom, an octagonal level in the middle, and a cylindrical top. Above that stood a 16-foot statue, or 5-meter high statue, most likely of Ptolemy II or Alexander the Great, for whom the city was named. Although estimates of the lighthouse's height have ranged from 60 to 180 meters, most modern scholars believe it was about 115 meters tall. The lighthouse was gradually destroyed during a series of earthquakes from 956 to 1323. Some of its remains have since been discovered at the bottom of the Nile. The Library of Alexandria. The Library of Alexandria was one of the largest libraries in the ancient world. It was dedicated to the Muses, goddesses of arts. It functioned as a major scholarship center from when it was built to the 3rd century BC until the Roman conquest of Egypt in 30 AD. With collections of works, lecture halls, meeting rooms, and gardens, the library was part of a large research institution called the Museum of Alexandria, where many of the famous thinkers of the ancient world studied. The library was created by Ptolemy I Soter, who was a Macedonian general. Most of the books were kept as papyrus scrolls, but nobody knows how many scrolls were kept there, so their combined value is incalculable. The library was destroyed in a fire and most of the scrolls burned, but nobody can know for sure who started the fire and when. Some suggest that the fire was set by Julius Caesar in 48 AD, and others say it was attacked by Aurelian in 280 AD. Hanging Gardens of Babylon. According to the ancient Greek poets, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were built near the Euphrates River in modern-day Iraq by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II around 600 BC. The gardens were said to be planted as high as 20 meters in the air on a huge square brick terrace that was laid out in steps like a theater. The king allegedly built the towering gardens to ease his lover Amethyst homesickness from the natural beauty of her home in Media, the northern part of modern-day Iran. Later, witnesses described how people could walk underneath the beautiful gardens, which rested on tall stone columns. Modern scientists have concluded that for the gardens to survive, they would have to be irrigated using a system consisting of a pump, water wheel, and cisterns to carry water from the Euphrates many meters into the air. Though there are multiple accounts of the gardens in both Greek and Roman literature, none of them are first-hand, and no mention of the gardens has been found in Babylonian inscriptions. As a result, most modern scholars believe that the existence of the gardens was a part of an inspired and widely believed but still fictional tale.